Awesome. Okay. So what we want to do today is create a Django project that kind of mimics assessment 2, which is a video store that takes in inventory data and customer data, and we're able to kind of play around with those. We're able to here. So we manage the customer information and then the video inventory, and this is the information that we have. And then this is the information for the videos. So we want to be able to get the inventory of the store, view a certain customer's current videos, current rented videos. And we can look that up by customer ID, or since we're doing a website, we could probably do it by name. And I mean, we can show both, but yeah, we'll figure that out. We need to be able to add a new customer. We're going to be able to rent a video for a customer, and making sure that we pay attention to the account type. And then we want to return a video from a customer's rented. What is it called? Can't find words today, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. But yeah, okay, so this is what the menu looks like. So we can get started. I already created a project, a Django project. I created the app as well, and I just did the simple, you know, the connecting of the two, and I did an index view. So if I start, okay, so if I run the server, yeah, it just says hello there. Okay, so from that project, our data was in this form. So it was in CSVs. I wrote a small program to actually transform, like take in these CSVs and write JSON objects that are in the form of fixtures. So would anyone be interested to look at that code? I'll have it in the notes today, but I don't have to.
Yes.
Yeah, I won't go like too in depth, but pretty much you all have touched this code. So I get my path to my my CSV, and then I loop through it. So for each row, this is for the inventory CSV. I create a video. So each video has this information: title, rating, release year, and copies available. And then I also create a fixture dictionary, because if you guys remember, it's supposed to look like that. So it's supposed to have model, PK, and then fields are the actual data fields. So which file was I? Okay, here. So I created a fixture that would house the model, the PK. I'm keeping count, so I just append or add 1 to it every loop. And the fields, I just put in the video dictionary that I created. So yeah, so I have a list of those, each fixture. I append it to my final list. And then with these 2 lines, I'm able to create a JSON file and write this dictionary straight to the file. And what that looks like is it spits out this. So it makes a list of dictionary, because that's what it was, a list of dictionaries, and this is the form. And I also, the rest of it is just the customer one, the customer specific one, which looks like this. So customer, and then, yeah, the information. One small thing that I would want to say, so for the video rentals, I created because if you guys remember, they were in the form of like slashes. I had the file open somewhere, but here we go. So for video rentals, you have just the titles with slashes in between them. So where is it? Okay. So I grabbed that entire row and then I split it by using the slashes. So now I have a list, and then I loop through the list, and then I append each item to the current video rentals list, and then I made that a list. Or I added it to the customer in the fixture. So that's why this looks like this. So makes it easier to loop through it. Any questions? Everything kind of.
So we're not going to be using Postgres at all for this. We'll just be like looking at the fixtures. Is that right?
No, I'm gonna load these into Postgres. So that's why I made the fixtures. So this is, yeah, I didn't do this during the demo because this is just to help me. So I don't have to create the entire fixture file, which is a lot of typing, and I didn't want to do that.
One other quick question. Whenever I like do my Django projects, it always like puts like database as SQLite or something. Is it? Did you delete that, or is that just
I
like?
did.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah. In my settings, yeah, this was part of my setup before. So I created a database called Video Store DB in my like local Postgres instance. And then I changed it to Postgres. I think it's easier because I can actually look at the data through the PC-cool shell. Yeah. Yeah, Alicia.
Yeah, I remember when I can't remember the code offhand, but we did some sort of thing where we just said like for, dictionary in reader or something, and then we just filled the dictionary with the user instances. Could you essentially do the same thing here where you're just making a user with all of the I'm trying to remember, but we basically, gosh, I can't remember the syntax, but we basically said, for every one of these dictionaries, I want you to turn it into a user. And then we were able to do it that way. Can you do it like that instead of doing the fixtures?
I mean, in a way, yes, it's just extra code, and I would have to probably put that in like the views, like to actually process something. It's just for our purposes for this, we just want the data to end up in the database. So we don't really care about creating an object for it. I mean, the models are the objects, but we're going to be loading them the way that we create the models, if that makes sense. So before we were just creating objects like, hold on. I mean, I had this code from before. So this is what it looks like in the actual assessment when we were doing it, probably, where we have a customer and then we send in that entire dictionary. Is that what you're talking about? The entire row?
Yeah, well, we had a thing where we had like star row, and that somehow formatted it into the thing.
Yeah, so that one just pretty much sends it to the initializer, and you're able to access each part of the row with these identifiers. So I pretty much did the same thing here, where you're saying row at this. So row at account type is going to be, yeah, the same as that thing that I just showed. So yeah, when we sent it in, it was just sent as account type. So we didn't have to care about the the referencing inside the row. But this was because we were creating an actual customer object. Versus here, we just want to take all the data and kind of just format it differently, because the fixtures can just take care of loading it into the database, and we don't have to write a create for every single one, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks, Zaina.
Mhm.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
This is awesome.
So,
Do we have anything with the models?
no, not yet. So I was gonna say, we don't have to care about the transform thing anymore. We can actually just start on the project itself.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, let's make a, yeah, what did you,
So we need customer and video.
yeah, let's make customer and video.
Yeah. call it
Yeah,
video.
just go ahead, because you know what they look like, because you were just creating pictures. Yeah, let's just go
This
ahead and
side.
create them. And I think we should just, yeah, models.model, I believe. And I think we should just be as permissive as possible, and not worry about like unique or or anything like that. Just so we can get the models working. I did just realize, I'm curious how Django will handle us creating models when we already have stuff defined in the database. I think it'll be fine, but just to avoid any potential conflict, something we should just make these really permissive, and then we can always add stuff on for additional migrations and things.
Okay. I just realized this is gonna be interesting to load in the fixtures. The current video rentals. We'll get to that in a second, actually.
Yeah. Have we loaded the fixtures in yet? Actually, I think I
No.
might have come to conclusions. Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
jumped the gun. I thought the fixtures had been ran and added to the database, but that I was confused. That doesn't make any sense.
yeah, I just created the data.
Cool.
Okay, so char field,
Yeah.
max length. Let's do 200.
I was going to say, I'm wondering if Django RM has just like a text field that we can use where we don't even have to specify the length.
The C in customer, thank you.
Yep, capital C. Oh yeah, thank you, Michael. Chart field should be fine. Are we going to run into length issues with any video titles? Just
No, we shouldn't.
okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
they're all short. First name, last name, account type.
Yeah. And what do SX and PF stand for there in the fixture?
Oh, so there are a few different account types. There's a standard. Here we go. One sec. Okay.
Oh,
So standard account, you have max 1 rental. Premium account, max 3. Standard family, max 1, but they can't rent rated R movies. So there's like some restrictions on a few of them.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Let's make this a char field with length of 2.
Mhm.
And in a future, once we get everything working, we can always go back and add a validator.
Mhm.
Awesome. And thank you in the chat, folks, who were mentioning the text field.
Yeah. What is okay? So what should we do about the current video rentals? Does anyone have ideas?
I have a thought.
Okay.
My thought is delete it in the fixture data because it's an association.
Mhm.
So we could, because yeah, ideally we want this to be like a foreign key relationship. The other thing we could do is we could just kind of do it the less correct way and not put in a foreign key relationship yet, just to get the data in.
Mhm.
That might not be a bad idea. Like we could just have current video rentals be, what would it be, like a list of strings or something?
I was kind of thinking, because I was just, for me, the schema would make sense if you had like a customer table and then a video table, and then this would be like a join table between the two of
Mhm.
them that joins the customer and the videos that they have rented.
Maybe
Yeah.
rentals
We don't want to.
or no?
So the only thing with that is, like, we don't want a video to be able to be checked out by more than one customer. And a join table is normally.
Why?
So no, you can, because,
Some of the-
yeah.
Higher quantity and inventory.
Mhm.
Oh,
So in the inventory, there's copies available, so that will determine if someone can check
oh,
out another video or not.
I apologize. I'm wrong. I apologize. Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do a join table. Do you think that's good?
I do. I think we might just need an intermediate step to, or we'll need to modify the fixture data to initialize everything, but we can figure that out, and we can still build our model for the join table for sure.
Yeah. If you want, I'm gonna copy it into the chat if anyone wants to do that. Real quick. Let's see. It's this one right now. It won't allow me to, that's fine, whatever. So I'm gonna create a video one as well. That way I can create the rental one.
Yeah,
Okay, so for the video, we're gonna have, oops. Title. This can be chart fields, max length
yeah, that looks great.
200. Rating. Yeah, classes in the models up high do have to inherit from the model. That way you're able to, actually, I don't know exactly why, but I'm assuming it's because you want to create a model. And so this won't be just a regular class, it will be of type model,
Yeah.
or it will inherit the, yeah, model stuff.
Good, exactly.
Fields. Creating, release here.
Should that maybe be like max length 2 or 5 or something for the rating?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I think 5 is good.
Let's see, PG-13. Yeah, for our purposes, 5 is great.
Let's do 10 in case.
Sounds good.
Okay, release year can just be chart fields. Let's do max length 4.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's fine because
Yeah,
year. And then copies. I'll have this as an integer. And our defaults. Should we do default equals 0 or?
I think default. Yeah, so this is where it gets a little interesting, because if we have our join table
Or 1.
and we have a rental, when a customer returns a rental, presumably what happens is a customer checks something out,
Mhm.
and in the video table, copies available gets reduced by 1.
Yep.
Is that, and then we're going to add a row in the rental table?
Yes.
Is that right? So then when a customer returns a video, copies available gets incremented by 1. And then are we just going to grab one random? I guess we can just delete, we can just grab all of the rental rows for the video that we care about and
Mhm.
delete it. Oh, and I guess it'll have the customer ID.
Yeah, exactly. So we would just find where customer is the customer ID, and then
Yeah,
videos video ID.
yeah, that totally works. I feel, yeah, if we were building a real world schema, I would probably want like each physical video tape should have its own row in the database.
Mhm.
But that's not, it doesn't make sense right now. And I think this is going to work great. I just needed to walk through it a little bit.
Mhm. Are we able to do 2 primary keys, and that way it's unique using the primary keys?
What we can do is we can add 2 foreign keys and then
Mhm.
add a unique constraint with those 2 keys.
Okay.
So yeah, we want to do exactly like you did with customer.
Oh, I didn't finish this one. But,
For the video.
Mhm.
And then let me look up
customer.
the syntax for the unique constraint.
So on delete, we would want something more custom. So I guess right now we can say do nothing, but what I was thinking is if you're deleting a customer, you would want to return all the videos that are related. So that would have to be its own custom method. We can do that, right? Or no,
Yeah,
with the on delete.
I think what we want, like, if we shouldn't be able to delete a customer if they haven't returned all their videos.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
That does, yeah.
And there is something we can do for that. I think it's called protected. Let me double check.
So I hate to throw a wrench into things here, but what if you have a situation where like one of your customers like dies in a tornado and their house is just like completely destroyed and like, taken to Wonderland or whatever. Like the customer dies and the movie is destroyed also. How do you handle that in your database?
I think we still return the videos from the database's perspective. And from there,
But then we wouldn't have the actual videos.
that's true. But the way our database is right now, we that's going to cause other problems as well, because how do we, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we should just leave it as this right now, maybe. Or
Yeah. I mean, I think especially because I think it'll be good for us to get to like using Axios and stuff. I'm less concerned right now with the accuracy of our data schema and the model.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
This looks good, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, let me take a quick look at it. So we have rental,
Mhm.
foreign key, right? So we need to add the unique constraints. Though maybe in fact we should, I wonder if we should, no, we should add the unique constraint. So I think, and the video looks good, copies available looks good. in the real world, we'd want a validator, so copies available doesn't become negative, but we don't have to worry about that. And I think the only thing I'm wondering about is with our fixture data with rented videos, like we have a mismatch right now between the format of the data in the fixture and how it's
That's okay.
represented in our model. I'm thinking about how to,
I'll just delete it real quick.
yeah,
It's fine.
yeah, okay, yeah. And then what we can do once we build the feature, we can manually have customers check out a couple videos.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, yeah, thank you, Zainab. Good call.
No
And let me
worries.
find the format for adding the unique constraint that we need to the primary key. Let's see here.
Okay, I don't think I missed any. I am going to make the migration and stuff like that while we're doing that.
Yeah, sure. We can add the unique constraint after as another migration.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry. I forgot that's what we were waiting on.
No, no
Um,
worries. Give me just a sec to view
Mhm.
to find it. I know it's somewhere around here. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, I found our example. So there are actually a couple things we need to do for our many-to-many relationship. So we have the join table rental. We do need to add like a many-to-many field on both. But let's see.
So
I
where do we
apologize,
add
give me a
that?
moment.
You're fine.
I'm just looking at our example. So we get that, get that.
Okay.
Right. 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 Okay. So for the Django ORM, we need to add a many-to-many field for both customer and videos, because that's going, that's actually okay where it is. I apologize. Yeah, I didn't explain it very well. For the customer class, we can start there.
Oh, okay.
Let's add a field here called rentals. And that's going to be a many-to-many field. Models.many-to-many field. And the first argument is the name of the table, which will be rental. And then we add an unnamed argument called through. So through =, and then in double quotes, rental. Correct, except that needs to be a string rental right there.
Oh, okay. I think this one, because it's defined afterwards, it's not registering. But it should be fine afterwards, like when we're migrating.
Yeah, we could always copy and paste the rental definition up above in the file too, of the rental.
But then it won't know what customer and video are.
Oh yeah, okay. And then the one thing we do need to do is for that through argument.
Mhm.
I don't know if it needs to be a capital R, but
For here, rental.
yeah, it probably doesn't, to be honest, but just to be safe. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that should do it. And then, oh, I see. Okay, here's how we do the unique constraint. I remember this from the other day. This will be great for folks to see too. Then in the rental class, we need to take advantage of the Django model ORM's meta class. So inside rental class, we need to do a new class. So class meta, capital M. And then, yeah, and that's all we need. Exactly. And then here we have a field name called unique_together. And this is some Django ORM magic. And then equals and double curly brackets. And then inside here, we do customer in quotes.
With a capital C or?
I have it lowercase in the example, so
Okay.
it probably didn't matter for the through either, to be honest.
Mhm.
And then comma and our other one, video. So fingers crossed we have that right. Does this ring a bell with folks? And this looks pretty good with our model.
Awesome. So I'll try to make migration.
Yeah, let's do it.
Rentals not defined.
Shouldn't the many to many field be, like for customer, shouldn't it be video?
For which one?
The,
So
so
the
for
video.
customer,
Mhm.
in the customer class, where the line 13 rentals, shouldn't that be video? And then the first parameter or first should be video also, and then it's through rental.
I don't know, actually. Should I, let's try it like that then. Let's move that back down. So here's video, you said, or sorry, this is customer, this is video.
Yeah, I'm asking. I'm not saying it's
Oh,
right. I'm
okay.
confused about this stuff, but
Yeah.
that's how I have it in the homework. So that's
Mhm.
just,
Thank you, John. I think I made an error there. Yep. Thank you. Yeah.
But this still doesn't know what this is.
and I think you'll need to do that for one of them, either customer or video will get the many to many.
Okay. Let's say a customer has rentals. Customer has video rentals. And I think that makes sense more.
I agree. John, thank you. I got that wrong.
Don't thank me yet.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
In theory. Okay, the unique together.
Yeah, schema creation, it doesn't end up being so bad once you get used to the patterns, but it's definitely the most like critical step.
So it didn't give errors on these things, so that's good. But the unique together thing is not correct, or it says unhashable set.
Unhashable type set.
Should I
Interesting.
try it was just one, or no, but you said, oops.
That's better. Oh, parentheses. I apologize. Try double parentheses. Thank you, Robert. That was just me not
Awesome.
being blind. That was just me.
So are you going to add the related names to make that easier on your side?
I think we're fine right now because it will create related names for us. It will just use the default related name of like customers underscore set or something like that for our foreign key relationships.
So this worked.
Awesome. Yeah. And Alicia, that is a good thing to do. Really, the only reason we're skipping it now is just in the interest of time. But we will get a related name, just the Django's default version of it. Awesome. Should we try the, oh yeah, let's see. Yeah. Nice.
Awesome.
Um,
Actually, we should probably see what the rental one looks like.
yeah, let's take a look.
I think it's /DT, no, or just D.
I think it's just D. Yeah, give that a shot.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, customer ID, video ID,
Nice.
and then
Indexes. A unique constraint, right? Customer ID, video ID. Yeah, that looks good.
awesome.
Should we try loading in the fixture data?
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah, and how are folks doing? I know we powered through some of the model stuff a little bit.
Would you mind explaining how the you got those names for your rows in the table?
Which names?
Like the when she was just looking at the table and it said like name, and I forget what else was on there, but is there something in models.py that like created those, like the ID, customer ID, video ID?
These?
Yes.
Okay, so the ID is auto-generated. The customer ID comes from this. So we created a customer using a foreign key, so it automatically knows to only store the customer ID because that's all we need.
Yeah.
And then same for the video.
Django ORM is doing the auto generation. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, that was it. Sorry, but for me at least.
Yeah, yeah, no, good question, Jacob. Yeah, it's exactly right. Like you were saying in Zaynab, Django ORM automatically like creates those column names for us for that table.
Did you load the data as well, or you haven't done that yet?
Yeah, I did earlier, or
No errors. Look at you go.
no, I know, right?
Yeah,
Very
I'm
surprised.
impressed. That's awesome. Awesome.
Yay. Okay, so we have data here,
Right.
and then customer. Awesome.
Can we, is this in a Git repo? The paranoid part of me wants to commit.
It is. Let me. Hold on. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I really like committing when I get stuff in a good state, because now if we get totally lost, worst case, we can blow away all our changes and go back to this good point in our code base. Michael, what's up?
So since you guys just loaded the fixtures, it didn't create any entries in the rentals model yet, right?
That is correct. That's a good question. Yeah, so you're a little quiet, by the way, but Michael was asking, like, have we created any rentals? And we have not. We removed that information from our fixture data because we realized, like, the way that we would have to, like, we can't just put the names of the rentals in the fixtures. We would have to like have primary keys of all these different things. So once we build out the feature to actually like create a rental, we are just going to use that to manually like actually have like some customers check out some videos and create rental data that way.
Would you mind just showing us one customer example where you create a fixture of rental? Because we ran into, I know that there were a few students who ran into an issues where if they had to edit their model, which required an edit to the fixtures, and then they tried to re-migrate and reload data, kept giving us issues.
Yeah, Zaynab, I'm curious what you think. My first thought is not to do that right now, just because it does get a little tricky, and I would like us to make sure that we get to using Axios and or HTML forms to move data back and forth between the browser and the server.
Which part is tricky? Or
fine.
like, what are we talking about? Just creating a simple fixture real quick?
Yeah. No, I guess you're right. We can do it. I guess it's not so bad. We just need to add the primary keys.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do many.
You're right. I was being a little overly cautious.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, and that is a good question, Alicia, and you're totally right that it can. You have to be careful of the order in which you perform like migrations and loading fixture data to make sure that when you're loading data from a fixture, the format is like what we have in the.
So is this what you're talking about, Alicia? Just to add.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll throw the same error because you're actually not editing anything on the models. But I guess we'll find out.
So I just want to add, I'm pretty sure this is the same concept because we were kind of talking about it, but so like when a couple of us would go into, say like right now, like you created your model, say for whatever reason your video you wanted to add a description, like once you add the description and you give it whatever you give it, like whether it's a chart field, when you go to make the migration, it would throw errors, and it would be like essentially, well, for at least for me, the only way I could figure out to do it is I had to just drop the whole database and then create a new one.
So it's possible, what, did you have data already in there?
So no, that was the weird part, because I know for a fact at one point the error message was essentially asking me to create like a default value, but I
Mhm.
didn't understand why I would need a default value when there was no data inside of the tables.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is, I would assume that that would be the behavior if there was data. So maybe because you already had the database up there, they wanna protect in case there is any data. So you have to do a default. So if there was anything loaded before, it would just add a null or add whatever you want for those because they don't have that piece of data. So I would say just add the default. Yeah.
Yeah, let's like run this to create a
Mhm.
rental. I just don't want to try and like reproduce the issue right now because
Yeah.
I think it's just gonna be too hard for us to like recreate where you folks were running into that. I think what has to happen is next time that happens, either with the getting a hold of either a TA or a teacher, or at minimum, slacking one of us the error message and like the model so that we can see the code in question. Because at least for me, I just have to see the code to kind of know what's going on with bugs.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to send me the message, I don't mind like debugging and stuff. I like debugging. So
Cool. Yeah, maybe I'll try to do that when in the afternoon.
okay, so now we have a rental in there.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And Alicia, we definitely do use fixtures in real life. Yeah, I think the key thing is it's very hard to debug a hypothetical. I think is what it boils down to. Like it's a lot easier to debug when you can see the actual error message and the actual code producing the error. And Slack is really good for that, to be honest, because if for some reason one of us or a TA isn't available, at minimum, you can send us, again, the error message and the relevant model code so that we can have something concrete to look at. And that's kind of a good shift to start making now too, as we start doing bigger projects. And also that's going to kind of be the expectation, like as a junior developer, in terms of like how you ask for help with these kinds of issues, is to provide that kind of contextual information so that we can really like see what's going on. Yeah, let's make this menu.
Yeah, I just started.
Yeah, and I remember folks mentioning that the other day, and we talked about it, and it sounds like a lot of people have run into it. So again, I think the next step is when someone runs into it, that's when you got to reach out and Slack stuff, and even throw in stuff in the Romeo channel, you know, if you want to. But point being, we need to have some information so we can solve a real problem.
Yeah.
It's just too hard to like debug.
It's all good.
Yeah, I don't mean to be a broken.
No, we're not upset at all. It seems like a lot of us have had the issue and we just can delete the database. So it's fine.
And honestly, a lot of the times that's what I end up doing, because sometimes it does get tricky and it's not worth figuring out what went wrong.
Okay, I forgot the format of the A tag. So is it source or
For just a link.
href? Okay, thank you.
href.
Yeah.
Equal sign, yep, and then in quotes the route that we want.
I guess we should probably create some routes, huh?
Yeah, we can go ahead and make the hrefs now, and they can just be dead links. That's totally fine.
Okay.
So we've got, how about like slash videos, plural?
Yeah.
And that can be view inventory. Here, I can walk you through this.
We didn't want the leading, right? Or
I
the
think that's correct. I was getting.
yeah, I don't know.
We can just.
do I
Fix it.
do I close it and then put the,
We would
Um,
write, no, let's write view store inventory. And then we
Yeah.
close that.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. And let's do the same thing. I do think we need a leading slash here in the template. I think it's Django that doesn't like it.
Okay.
So this is customer rented videos. So let's
Um,
make this, let's just do customer slash, let's just do slash customer for now. We're gonna have to
Okay.
insert like an ID in here, but we haven't built that out yet.
Yeah. So customer, add customer, so maybe customer
I
new
vote-
or add customer.
I vote we skip add customer, because do we have some customers already in the database?
We do, but we want to demonstrate the post.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We'll do it that way. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's just do add customer. I'm not sure if this is the restful way, but we can totally just do it for now to get it working. I'm just so used to doing it a certain way. I have to shift my brain a little bit to
Oh.
relax it.
Should I have it customer slash add? I don't know.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, I just need to chill out.
Rent.
Yeah. We can just do. Yeah, we might change these, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then return.
So this would probably be slash videos slash rent or slash video slash return, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. The truth is it doesn't matter, and I shouldn't get hung up on it.
I think that's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Okay.
I don't think we need trailing slashes, but I'm not.
I thought that was the thing that, oh, maybe it's in the URLs that it cares
Yeah,
about.
and URLs, you need them.
Yeah, it's confusing and weird. In an href as a link, I think a trailing slash indicates a directory. I think it'll work fine, but just again, just kind of out of habit. Nice. Yeah, let's go ahead and make our routes. Yeah, exactly.
Use dot, maybe get videos.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Also, for people watching me code very slowly, I apologize. That is how I code. Customers.
I apologize. I'm just copying something to share with people.
Okay. Use dot. Rent is fine. And then return.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested, I just threw a link to a Google Doc in the Zoom chat, and you'll see it's like 5 bullet points. And all I did was take like the features that we need to get started. It's like, all right, we need to be able to view a video. So we need the model, we need the route, we need the template, and we're going to need to update like the main homepage with the link. And I kind of just broke it down that way. And I didn't even really finish it. It's more just a rough guide. But there's a good question about how do I like start work? And honestly, there's a lot of ways to do it. You can kind of start with the templates, or you can start on the model side. For me, I do have to make some kind of outline. And starting with the models is a pretty common approach because that data schema is so core to everything else. And I think you guys kind of saw the way to do that the way Zainab and I did. That's definitely not the only approach, but it's a common one. Yeah, sorry, Zainab. I got
You're fine.
distracted, but yeah, it looks like,
Yeah, so I finished up the routes. And then I just created let the index, what is it called? The index route
nice.
to the index.html, which houses our list.
Yeah.
Okay, this looks fine.
Let's look at the homepage.
Let's do so. Oh, yes, that'd be nice to see.
Yeah, Nice. This is awesome.
Oh, I don't have, hold on, let me just create all of these.
Oh, the methods.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could also just comment them out, comment those lines of code out, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, I'll do it because we have to do it regardless. So
Sounds good.
I'll do it real quick.
Nice. Yeah, and it'll be nice to have them, and then everything's just ready to go.
Yeah. What am I doing? Good videos. I'm gonna comment this out because the errors really mess me up. And then I'll just return
We could just
what's it
return
called?
hello,
Yeah,
or
an HTTP response.
oh yeah,
Hello. Help.
nice.
How many do I need? 5, 6? I don't know. Okay. Get videos.
Customer.
Add customer. To get customers, but I guess it should be customer, right? Singular.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about it right now, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot. It's just this. Add customer, event, video,
Nice.
return video. Okay. Save.
Awesome.
Has a trailing slash. Hold on. Okay, all of these do, but I guess it's saying in here, maybe?
So I think it's saying on your views function,
Yeah.
since you're including, you don't want the /, but I don't know if I can.
Yeah, I think we need to go to the urls.py file
Yeah.
and then remove the leading slash.
Uh,
I'm remembering this is like the Django weirdness, if I'm correct.
there we go.
I had that problem yesterday. If you do the leading slash, then in order to get it to go to your site, you'll have to do the host site and then 2 slashes and whatever you're trying to go to.
Oops,
It's weird. I don't quite
good
understand.
to know.
It's because in your include, you already put the slash, so then you also put an extra slash, so there's 2.
Okay, I sort of followed that.
Okay, so we got a bunch of links one right after the other. So we need to fix that, but yeah. So the links work. Let me just make sure they
Nice.
all.
Yeah, let's take a quick look and see why they're all on one line, just to make sure that there's not a syntax error in that HTML.
because I just created all of these. I didn't put them
Oh.
in different components or anything.
Got it.
So
That
I'll
makes
just make a list.
No, that's totally fine. I just got confused. I thought it was like a div where it goes on a new line, but I was wrong. I got confused.
If I put it in an unordered list thing, will they show up as list items or?
No,
No.
I don't think it's worth it right now.
Okay,
I mean,
let's see what this does. I'm not gonna add anything more. It's fine.
Cool.
Oh. Okay. All right, so we have our links.
yeah, let's should we do one of the posts?
To add the customer. Let's
We can-
probably get the customers.
Okay, yeah, that's a
Maybe.
good call. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
build our view endpoints first, and that's a good warm up too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I need to import my models from that. Or is it dot
I
models?
think we do, yeah, from dot models import and then each model name.
Customer video and then.
Nice.
Okay, so we're gonna do this one.
Yeah, let's do it. So we can do
Oh.
something. Sorry.
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry. No, so the get customer, we're gonna need to send in the ID of the customer. So
So-
right now, I guess we can just get them all.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, is this one for viewing all customers
Mm-mm.
or,
It's getting one customer based on the ID.
oh, I apologize. Yeah, getting a customer rented video. Got it.
Yeah. So
Got it.
this could be customer
Yeah,
ID,
perfect.
and then here,
Yeah,
customer
let's-
slash.
Yeah, awesome. Exactly.
So here I'm just gonna add one.
Yeah, good call. I like it. Yeah, yeah, and just like faking stuff like that while building is like kind of like a core technique, I feel like. So it's really good for folks to see.
I'm gonna do ID
Yep.
equals
Customer, yeah, exactly.
customer ID. And here I'll just return customer.name or something like that, or just the customer. I believe.
Yeah, I don't remember if it will like automatically convert that object to a dictionary or whatever. We
It
can just
won't.
do it and see if it works.
Yeah. Is it customer at something, right? Maybe
Say that again.
to access the data inside of the customer. Oh, because it's
no,
a
it should just-
dictionary, right?
It should just be dot.
These are objects, yeah.
Yeah, it should just be dot.
Okay.
So the customer is an
Yep.
object, so we can,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a property on there.
So like this, view customer. Awesome, we got our first customer back.
Nice. And we can, do you want to maybe throw 2 in that URL bar real quick and we can just look at another customer?
Perfect.
Oh, Monica and Chandler, I love it. Cool. So I had a thought, which is we could also now on our customer page, we could show a list of all the videos they've checked out.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, let's do it. It is not going to be anything yet, but we can write the,
well, actually, the first customer has one video, so
oh, perfect.
we
Even
have
better.
something to show, yeah. Okay, so what do we want to do? We want to get the list of
So-
videos.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So, and I think we can even do lowercase customer dot,
Oh, yes, thank you.
yeah. I have to look
Yes.
at, yeah, can we?
No, that is correct, yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, let's look at the model file for a moment, also for the class, and then we can just point out what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we created on line 14 that many-to-many fields, and that's where we tell Django ORM the relationship that we want to have. And Django ORM will do all the work of writing of the SQL query to do a join query with the rental table, to connect the customer to the rental, to the video they've checked out. And all we have to do is say customer.rentals, and it will take care of all that work for us. And hopefully that wasn't too breezy of a overview of what's going on there. Does that make sense to folks, what we're doing, how we're getting all the videos for a customer?
So right now I'm just building the data.
Nice.
We're gonna have customer and then the videos.
Yeah, and I always forget if
Uh,
Django will convert the objects for us, but if not, we will just. Oh, right, and we're going to do it in the. Never mind. We've got the template. I apologize.
No, you're fine. Okay, so I'm gonna create a new template.
Nice.
This is not worth copying. So what should I do?
Yeah, let's why don't we do an H1 tag, and we can be like customer : first name, last name,
Okay.
or something. And then that way, just in case like there is no customer or something's wrong, we see something on the screen to know that the page renders.
So it's gonna be, oops.
Yeah,
Customer dot
customers- yep,
first name.
first underscore name. Exactly. And then we can do the same thing for last name. Yeah, this is how all those really overly verbose like pages on the internet for forms and stuff happen. Some programmers like, let's like make something the most explicit way possible. Yeah, and let's close this, and now let's do a open unordered list tag. So the
Yes.
yep. And now we are going to do, I think, what you're about to do, which is a for loop in the Django template. And I'm popping over to find the correct syntax. Yeah, awesome.
I have to put these in curly braces. No, probably, right?
Not there. So that's good, because inside the curly percents, that
Mhm.
the template recognizes that as Django code.
Okay.
But then that is exactly what we're going to do inside our for loop as when we build the list. Yep, and end for, awesome. And so here we can open up a list element tag. And now we do the double curly for, video dot. I actually don't remember the name.
I think it's just title.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, nice.
Let's do title and release here, just to make sure that we have more information.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
And yeah, let's take a look and see what this looks like.
So here I need to return from
So I
the
think
name
we
of the
want
page.
/ yeah, we might need / templates in front of there. I always forget.
It doesn't need it. You usually have to put a folder within it with the name of the app, and that's what you usually, yeah. But I kind of just ignored that because it's faster.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, customer videos. I think it looks Good. Okay. I think, is it because I didn't put? Nope.
So
Actually, I should have read the error. I didn't, I just saw it.
yeah, so I think what caught my eye with that error is, and we can see it here in the terminal, it says many related manager object is not iterable.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we did something wrong with how we access all of the customers' rentals.
Mhm.
What I would say is let's just print out videos.
Well, then because you guys didn't set up the alternate name thing, so wouldn't it have to be the dot set or whatever?
That is a good
Rentals.
question. I think the many to many field that we create with Django RM is what we use in this case. which
Yeah, I
is a
thought
little
this would,
different.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'm not
I
100%.
see.
Okay, I'm gonna just print out the videos and see.
Yeah, let's do it.
So I have to go
It
here.
could also be, we might just need to do like customer.rentals.all or something like that.
Mhm.
If you right click in the terminal, there's a clear buffer option.
Clear?
Yeah,
Yes.
I
Okay,
have to
and then
that
just do it again.
sometimes. Yeah, because I just get lost.
So it's returning none.
Okay. Yeah, so I just think we're accessing that wrong. I wonder if it has to be customer rentals.all.
Oops.
And let me Google Django many to many. And see the right way to do it. So I think I just led us down the wrong road there. Yeah, let's try the .all. I think that might do it.
Okay, so dot rentals dot all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so kind of where my head went, folks, just when looking at that error message was the main part was that many related manager. Nice.
It worked.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. And many related manager, that was kind of the clue that said, okay, something with our like using the many to many model relationship is not working right.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, this is great.
Good.
Yeah, it's probably a good moment to pause. Probably a good moment to check in with people. I also want to check in with you, Zainab, and also check in if we should or need a break and just see, just check in all around.
I mean, some people are saying break. Yeah, I'm good to take like a few minutes off or like break and then tackle this again.
Should we do like it's 11:12? Come back at 11:20. How does that sound to people?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Should we do longer? Should we do like 11:25 or?
No, just so we don't go too much over lunch, like into lunch. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, let's do it. All right, we'll see everyone in a little bit at 11:20.
Awesome.
Zena? You there, Zena?
Hey Zena,
Hello.
how's it going?
Good, good. I was just doing a few things. Um, I just
Yeah.
fixed up the index page with list items, and then
Awesome.
I created the view store inventory. I was able to just return a list.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, what feature, I have a couple thoughts. What feature are you thinking about in terms of tackling next?
Add customer. I was
All right.
thinking.
Sounds good.
So add customer does not have anything now. Where do we want to start? Probably in the view.
Yeah, in the template, maybe adding like the input fields.
That is smart. Okay. Template. Should I do new customer,
Um,
or what should I call it? Doesn't matter.
yeah, yeah, new customer or whatever the view method is named. Yeah,
So, are we doing a form?
yeah, I think that's a good idea. We could do a form for this and maybe use Axios for renting and returning videos. What do you,
Yeah.
I was actually wanted to check in with you about that, about when
I
when
think
we
we
want to
should
do a form
use.
for Axios.
I think we should do Axios with the form, because aren't we? Isn't that what we were doing last time?
I don't remember what we were doing.
Like
last time.
Axios in JavaScript, I mean.
Yeah, we can totally do Axios with a form. I think a form just. Wait, I actually need some help. Raphael, maybe you can help. If we do Axios with a form, if we're not overriding the default form behavior, what are we using with Axios for in that case?
So if you're using Axios to submit this form, you are overriding the default form behavior.
Right. I feel, yeah, my first thought would just be that we don't need a form, or that we don't need Axios if we're just going to use a form. And I feel like I might be missing something to it, and there might have been a specific technique. So yeah, let me know if I'm totally not tracking at the moment.
I mean, it's possible that we could build this demo without using Axios, just using traditional HTML forms.
Yeah,
But I think people specifically want to see using Axios to move data around, because that's really the direction we're heading in.
right.
So yeah, with React, that's going to be pretty major skill, moving data around with Axios. So I think it'd be nice to see that.
Cool. Are we using the form? And Zainab, I might have jumped to conclusions too. Are we just using the form like for what it gives us for input fields, or?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Got it.
And then on submit, we would call the function that we want to call Axios.
Got it. Okay. I
If I'm not
apologize.
mistaken.
I got it. That makes sense. Yeah.
So actually the polls app from last week, this is a good reference if you want. Because we used,
Okay.
was it?
Would it be possible, just for visual purposes, on the add page to also have all of the users that are already in the database, so that way when you add, you also append it to the same page so you can see the Axios request in action?
We can probably do something along those lines. I see what you're saying. Yeah, we might do that. That is a good thought.
I'm
yeah.
sorry, I missed it.
No worries. Let me pull up. Which day was that? The polls app that you were just sharing?
Week 7, day 5.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me pull that up. Got it.
Yeah, I was trying to pull it up, but it was taking a while. So
No worries. Yeah, and then Dalton, let us get the sort of the skeleton set up, and then we'll take a look at that.
So while Adam's doing that, Dalton, can you tell me what your thing was again?
Just so like, because kind of like how we were kind of talking about how you could technically use a traditional form, but like
Mhm.
kind of the key part of Axios is so you can actually do it without refreshing the page. So it'd just be cool if like you set up the page so it already shows every user that's there.
Yeah.
And then once you make the request, you can also just add the user on that same page so we can kind of see. all of
Okay,
the
so I
action.
should add the form on the customer's page. I can do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's do that. Because then we don't have to create this other file. Don't save. Oh, we don't have a list all customers, so I guess I could do that real quick.
Yeah, let's do that. That, that actually, let's press pause, because I'm gonna get lost, because also, yeah, if we do list all customers and we're using a template, but then the goal is that we're using an AJAX request to add a customer and then also update that list of customers,
Mhm.
that's like another, then we have to, there's some front end code we have to write to do that. And we can do that, but I would like to do that in smaller steps. So I would like to start with us simply adding a customer and then worrying about the other pieces, now that I think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we still may do that, Dalton. I just
Wouldn't-
have to do it in steps to make sure that I don't get lost.
Wouldn't the front end code only have to run one time though, right? Like you wouldn't have to keep running front end code, correct?
I would like to write the code and then we can walk through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we want it, there's a page that will list out all the customers. There's no view for it yet, but yeah, if we want it.
Cool. Yeah, and let's just, we can do the add customer there on that page. That I think
Mhm.
that's totally fine.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the syntax for, or what are we writing?
Yeah, so let's just like throw in the text fields for the information that we want to add. So let's start there. So let's, yeah, close the form tag and create 2 input fields. And one for, I think we need first name and last name. Is that correct?
Yeah, do I put it inside this tag or outside?
So yeah, give me a moment to pull up, because I always forget this. Because there's,
I have to go to.
well, and this also, and then this gets to like, what are we? Yeah, just give me one moment. Placeholder, that's what I want. Okay, yeah, so for that input element,
Mhm. I'm just gonna just-
yeah, give it a attribute named placeholder.
Mhm. So,
Yep, an equal sign, and then first name in quotes, and this is just plain text. This is what the user will see there. Space is fine. Yep. And then let's
Fine.
add a close input element tag.
oops.
Let's close the form tag too,
Yeah,
and make sure that I didn't lead you down a wrong path with that.
yeah, this stuff, oops.
Oh, for the input element, okay, we don't need, I don't think we want a closing tag. I apologize.
What do we do for it then? Just,
I think if you get rid of the closing tag, I think we can just leave. Do I have that right, folks? Where we just have the opening tag and that's all we need?
Yeah, input elements cannot have content, so they self-close.
Got it.
Cool.
Thank you, Raphael. Yeah, let's close the form tag then. Oh, you've got it online.
I have
fine.
one down here, yeah.
Let's see if that works. I'm still a little confused. Like, do we need a form, or can we just use some input elements? Oh, I guess the form. I guess the form kind of bundles everything up into JSON for us. Is that what we're using it for?
Mhm.
Okay.
Or
yeah.
I don't know, actually, I don't know.
So I guess we haven't quite gotten there yet, so we'll see how you handle that problem when we get there. But I would say that generally, if you're submitting this data using Ajax instead of a traditional form submission, the form element is less useful, but think it's still worth having. One of the benefits is, Adam, like you mentioned, is that we can like package up all the form elements at once.
Yeah.
So previously we've just been
Yeah.
grabbing our inputs individually with document get element by ID. But if we had like 1,000 inputs and we just put them all in a form, then it's easy to just grab all the inputs inside of that form and then just handle them all at once in a loop. Also, keeping our inputs inside of a form improves the user experience because then users can submit the form by like pressing enter on any of the inputs or using screen readers, other alternative methods of submitting a form. Whereas if we didn't have a form element, we just had a bunch of inputs, and then clicking the submit button would be the only way to submit the form.
Yeah, those are really good points. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But we could definitely get a working demo without a form element. I just think it's a little bit nicer to use.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I've just been in like not React world, but no, that all makes a lot of sense, to be honest. I suppose we could do a label too, but we don't need to worry about that. It's all kind of coming back to me now. Oh, and Chris, thank you for throwing that in the chat. I appreciate it. I just saw that now. So let's take a look at the page.
So if we're submitting this form with Ajax, I don't think that CSRF token is going to get sent automatically.
Yeah, are we?
Let's just bypass CSRF again for now.
Can we take a look at the? Is that the issue that we're running into now, though?
Are you getting a 403 error? Oh, yeah, you just didn't return a response. That's what it's saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that's so. Yeah, that's like the best worst kind of error.
You're muted, Zainab.
Thank you.
Can we see what happens if we refresh that page now, Zainab, when you added the return statement?
Let's see. Oh, I was trying to import. Okay. There we go.
Okay, cool.
So we get our input.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Raphael. Okay, awesome. So we've got first name there. I don't think we've run into a CSRF issue yet, so I think we can hold on that until we run into an error that tells us we need to deal with it.
Okay, very soon.
Yeah, you're probably right. To be honest, I always have to Google that. Yeah, and if you want, we can just tackle that now, actually.
Sure, 1 sec. So I'm just adding a few more inputs for first name, last name, and account type.
Oh, good call.
So here we would probably, like when we created the models, we would probably have the validator inside the model to make sure that the account type is one of the ones that we allow.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah, I don't think, I'm not too worried about that right now, but yeah.
yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Nice.
And then I am gonna I'm gonna
yeah.
add the input here for the submit button. Just yeah, I copied this from what is it called? From the polls app code that I had.
Nice.
Yeah. So we'll call it add customer. Sorry.
No worries.
So do we have to give it a name or an ID?
So we are going to want to add names to each of those inputs.
Yeah.
That might be all we need to do.
Okay.
Yeah, and let's just like first name, all one word, I think is going to be simplest.
Yeah,
That
like
works
this.
too. Yeah, either way. Yeah, nice. And let's, when we get to writing the JavaScript, we'll console log what we're getting, and we'll see if we need to add IDs or anything, but we might not have to.
Okay. Let me just double check. Okay, awesome. Okay. So next step is probably to add the JavaScript file, right?
Yes. And did you add the CSRF decorator to the view function?
No, I didn't have the import.
Got it. Yeah. I think you're right. And let me look up what that is. Okay, so from Django.views.decorators, I think .csrf.
Let's see.
Does that sound right to folks? Where we import from?
I Google it every time.
Yeah. That's
So I
fine.
just put it in the chat.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you very much.
Use. Thank you. Caesar or no dot decorators.
Beautiful. CSRF exempt. Okay, that's it. And then we can just do @ CSRF exempt for the view function that we need.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I added it on the add customer because that's the one that's gonna receive the access call.
Okay. Don't we have in our template though, aren't we doing forget for the template that we were just looking at?
So
that CSRF token on line 14.
yeah, do we need this now or?
I don't actually know. I say let's get rid of it. Yeah, and then if we run into an error, we can add it back in.
Yeah, I feel like it might. Oh, didn't. Okay.
Yeah, it might happen once we start making the AJAX requests.
Okay.
And now I think I'm with you to start adding some JavaScript.
Okay, sounds good. So I already made a static folder.
Yeah, and I just want to check in to make sure was there anything that you had your eye on that we needed to do before this or to clean up or anything?
Nope, I think the JavaScript part is good for now, or like good to start on.
Awesome.
Did I put it in the wrong area though?
I think static main JS looks correct.
Okay.
Let's just add a hello world console log in main.js.
And what are we printing?
Well,
Or
let's just say
just
hello.
hello.
Yeah. And now we can pop back, and I believe, so it looks like there's two ways to do this. Have we set the static URL in settings.py just to double check?
I did. Let me check. I don't know where I'm looking at. Okay, here we go.
Nice.
I did this. I think that's what we did last time, right? Base directory.
Yeah. Okay. That looks awesome.
Um,
And then I just need to take a quick look to see the right way to then use the script tag. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, perfect. So we can just go to our
one moment.
template that we were at before.
So the static folder should actually be on the same level as the project, I believe, or the app.
Thank you. Okay,
I
totally missed that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the shopping cart example that we did, because that was the one that we used. What is it called? The Axios with the form.
Got it. I should pull that up as well. I have that somewhere. I have too many tabs open.
Okay, what do we want to do?
Yeah, I think the next thing we want to do is we want to go to the template where we're going to be adding a customer, the HTML template. And
let me close a few of these.
yeah, no worries.
Actually, I'll close this one too. Oh. Okay, here's our customers template.
Awesome. And let's go ahead. We're going to need a head tag to use scripts. So let's also, to do that, we need to add an HTML tag to wrap everything. Yep. Nice. Yeah, and let's just close the head, and then we can make a body, and we can put everything that we currently have inside the body.
So I have a question. Is there a particular reason why, like when we're in class, you all always write all of this out instead of just doing like that exclamation trick where it'll populate it for you? Is there a reason for that?
What is the exclamation trick?
How, like if you just, like if you go to the very beginning and you just type an exclamation, it'll essentially give you an auto template for HTML?
Oh, with VS Code, you mean?
Huh? Yeah, in VS Code. So
I think that was a snippet that Raphael had.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that trick.
Yeah, it doesn't work on mine.
Now it has an emit tag built in. If you type like HTML5, unless you have it disabled, and then you hit tab, it should complete all of HTML5 tags.
That's cool.
If you don't do like the opening bracket.
Okay.
That's cool. Oh, thank you, Maya. Yeah, I will play with that so I can get comfortable with it, because that would be a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah, I didn't know if it was like something that we shouldn't be using or, yeah, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would definitely like, it sounds like a great thing to use. It sounds like we should be using it.
Is it static / main.js or is it just main.js?
It should be just /main. When we set that
Oh, it
static,
is.
that should have taken care of it.
Okay. Because I see it on the other example and we put static last time.
You're correct. I apologize. I'm sorry about that.
I don't
Depends
know.
how it's configured in your settings.py, but I think static is the default URL.
Hopefully it's
That makes-
configured the same.
But the URL should start with a slash still. So slash static slash whatever.
Yeah, it's only Django that gets rid of the leading slash, which is quite weird. Like everywhere else, it's almost always there. And then could we just go ahead and close that script tag?
Oh, that's why it's not working. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
And I need.
Yep, and yep, exactly. Nice. Yeah, let's give that a shot. Cool.
And
and-
let's check.
Yeah, let's open DevTools and then we can confirm that we're seeing our console log statement. Beautiful.
Yay.
Awesome. So yeah, we're gonna use Emmet more to make life easier for building the HTML pages, and we have our JavaScript hooked up. We have our own code, and then the next step is to add the script tag for the Axios library, and I'm throwing that in the chat now, Zainab,
Mhm.
in the
Thank you.
Zoom chat. Yep, and we just need to make sure to add that before our own JavaScript. So that has to be the first script tag.
Oops. Not sure why it didn't copy. Okay, there we go. Okay,
Nice.
so now I guess we're doing the main or the JavaScript.
Yes. Now let's create a function. Let's just call it create user or handle user or whatever, add user,
Add customer.
add
maybe?
customer. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yep. And let's just call the argument, I don't know, let's call it data. I think it might actually be an event, but we can just call it data.
Okay.
And let's just console log that inside the function. And we don't need the
Oh, I
colon
forgot.
there. Yeah, this is where it gets confusing. We do need a curly bracket. Yep, nice.
Getting used to it.
No, it's tricky jumping between the two languages for sure. Yep, and we can just type data there, and I think that's all we need. And now let's go ahead and we do in the template, we need to change the on submit behavior.
Yes, I
form.
forgot.
Yeah,
There we go.
and let's change that to on submit equals, and then the name of the function in quotes. And is that,
So I have this is the example that we did.
yeah, so
we
that
had
way
option.
does not use Axios. That way is
Oh,
taking advantage
yeah.
of default form behavior and making it.
That's what we were talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Click on submit, we put the name of the function that was in
In
here.
quotes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we might have to. Let's just try that. Let's not even call it. I always forget exactly how this works. Let's get rid of those parentheses, and let's try this and see if we get any data. And while we do that, I will Google to find out how I'm getting it wrong.
There's nothing. in
There's
there.
nothing. Okay.
Let me see. This works.
Yeah, let's try calling. Let's add the parentheses to call the function.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, we're not sending in anything, so I'm just gonna add something in there.
that please don't do
No.
that actually.
Okay.
I think you might actually want to specify the event object here so you can access it in your function.
Event. Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Is it just
And
event?
then, yeah, just for sanity, then let's go to main.js and change the name from data to event. It doesn't matter, but it makes it so much easier to keep track of what's what. Thank you, Raphael. That makes sense. Yep, and then on line 4, let's change data to event as well. And let's just save that and refresh the page and yeah, just throw something in there and let's see what happens.
Okay, I saw something come up.
Yeah, yeah. So we're still getting the default form behavior. Raphael, I can actually use some help, and this is why I think I got a little confused too. We need to disable the form from making a post request at all. Is that correct?
Just need to prevent the default behavior. Looks like
Oh,
Zandam's
okay.
got it.
Yeah,
Of course. Thank
thank
you.
you.
Okay. Yep. 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 Thank you, Zainab.
Thank you,
That
Dalton.
is exactly what we want to do. Yeah, this is tricky because it's like a bunch of different, like we're doing some DOM manipulation. Yep. Okay, cool. And if you look at that property target, let's take a look at what that looks like. So event.target.
Sorry, let me go back.
No,
Okay,
no
so
worries.
target, submit.
Submit is a function. That's what that F and the 2 parentheses means.
Yeah.
I thought, let me just Google how it works with,
I think we might need to give the inputs IDs or names.
we might need to give them,
I thought we did.
we gave them names.
I think names are mandatory.
I think that, yeah, because I remember talking about that with Dalton yesterday. So then I think it's just, okay, let's try event.target. Is it
Where? Yeah, okay.
event.target.attributes?
Event dot target.
Yeah, I am not 100% actually. I need to.
So can I search this log or this thing?
That one is a little tricky to search. I think the filter, I don't know if it will filter through the object in the way that you're talking about.
Where is it?
I'm just doing a quick Google to find find what we want here.
So when me and Adam were talking about it, I don't think it's the same concept because so when I was doing event.target.name, but I was submitting with the button and each button had a name. But if you're trying to do the value, I don't think that'll work that way, but I'm not sure.
I think event.target.name is in like the name of each field, or
Yeah, it pulls to the name field that you guys defined,
right?
but I don't know how it's going to work since you have 3 different input fields that you submit all at once.
Right. Yeah, I'm used to kind of just building my own JSON. Raphael, I'm Googling, but I could definitely use some help if you know how to tackle this.
So I found this. Actually, I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
So what are we trying to do? Do we just want to grab the input data however we can, or do we specifically want to grab all the inputs in like one function call?
I'm expecting that somewhere. I just want to know where on the event object is the list of all the inputs, and their values. I would have expected adding the name attribute to give us like ability to access stuff by field name, but I might have gotten that wrong.
So I think in this case, event.target is a form, which should act as like an array-like object that contains its inputs. So can you just try listing like event target 1 or whatever? Sure.
Yeah, that's a good call. And we did see that there. And maybe that's what it is. And yeah, if you hit that. Oh,
You clear it and then,
yeah. Zainab, if you can just hit the in the dev console.
I
it's
just realized I was muted, sorry.
slash.
Is this dot or am I accessing it like an array?
I think
That's correct.
Okay.
that's correct.
Let me also make sure that, yeah. So I'm clearing, right?
Yeah, it's up a bit, like to the left of the filter box.
Mm,
the
Yes.
circle with the,
thank
no,
you.
Thank you.
Let me start fresh. With
Yeah, that
customer.
sounds good. That's a good
Mm.
call.
Yeah,
Input.
okay.
Okay. So
Input.
yeah,
So this gives us the actual,
yeah. And I
what is it called?
believe if we now do dot value on what we already have in the JS code, that will give us the value of the input field.
Let's do it.
We might need to do a page refresh. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. I
perfect.
apologize, folks. That was totally on me. That took ages.
Oh,
But we got it.
well, so can you, before you go further, can you put values into the other fields so that we can see what it looks like when it's more than just,
Sure.
Maybe we could just do a for loop through event.target and
That's-
then print the value of everything we can find.
Sure. Yeah, and in fact, we can probably do event.target.name. I think, and that's what Dalton was saying. Yeah, so open parentheses.
What?
If you do,
Yeah.
yeah, and then
Yeah, we're in JS now.
yeah, it's confusing. Let I equal 0 semicolon.
Oh, we're back to this. Okay.
Yeah, semicolon.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
semicolon, yes.
yeah, I know it's crazy. I is less than event.target.length
Um,
and another semicolon. And then I plus plus. And then open curly bracket,
Oh, thank you,
for sure. I know
I feel like-
it's super confusing.
I think JavaScript has a for each, but that's for
Oh, we totally could have done a for each too.
Yeah.
That's also true.
this works.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's like 6 different ways to loop through an array in JavaScript.
yeah,
That's fun.
yeah.
I like the JavaScript for loop.
And let's do this. Let's yeah, exactly. And then let's copy line 7 and paste it right below.
Oops.
Thank you. And on line 7, let's change value to name.
Oh, okay.
I think that'll work. And I think then we should see the name of the field and the value. Because
Mhm.
we're gonna need both. So fingers
I-
crossed that'll work.
I believe so.
And then we just gotta do a page refresh to get some fresh JavaScript.
I'm not sure if you initialized your for loop correctly.
Oh, I equals 0.
Oh, thank you.
Mhm.
Good catch. Yeah, it gets confusing. And honestly, this is the great part of React. Like React does all of this for us.
Yay. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a good point to check in with folks too. both because it's noon and just to see where people are at with this stuff. Yeah, and thank you folks and Raphael for your help so much with this step. And my apologies that I got a little lost.
That's, yeah, that's just my last pass extension. This is not anything, because it's I
That's
think
your what?
like first name or something, huh?
Yeah, how do you have that little?
Yeah, this
Right.
is just an extension. It's LastPass,
Oh,
which like saves my passwords, but I don't have it enabled on this computer.
gotcha.
That's one of the benefits of form fields. It's probably because it's in a form that's helping LastPass realize, hey, maybe I'm supposed to do something there.
And can we see your template again real quick?
Yeah. And so this JavaScript code doesn't send anything to the server, and the only thing it does depend on, I mean, I guess,
Good stuff.
yeah. Sorry, I'll just pause.
Nice and clean. I like it.
Well, it's 12, so I feel like we should just power through the actual adding and then we can go to lunch.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we want to make an Axios call.
Yeah. What I think we should actually do is let's create an empty object called like new customer, and let's create it on line 6.
New customer.
Mhm.
It's let, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A dictionary.
Yeah, we're going to use it like a dictionary. Exactly. And then inside the for loop, we can leave the console logs. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then we don't
Oh,
need a let.
sorry.
We can
Yep.
just do, new customer, square bracket.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in fact, why don't let's assign that to a variable name just to make the code a little easier to read, if
Okay.
you don't mind.
Oops.
Yeah, and let's just call it name.
Oh, okay.
We can just, let's just say like, yeah, exactly. Yep, event target, the whole thing, and then the dot name. Yep, and let's just put a let up there. And then let's do the same thing for value.
Yep. Let.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay. And then, I mean, I don't need to get rid of this, but this one is just value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. I was getting confused there for a sec. Perfect. And we can do whatever you want with the console logs. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good call. Nice. That's a good call to test it out for sure.
So, oh, it's because it's doing a console log. In like every loop. During every loop. So if I did it afterwards, it'll print out the entire.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so it works.
Nice.
Perfect.
Awesome. So now we've got the JavaScript in our browser
Mhm.
interacting with the DOM in the browser to get the information from that form. And now we're going to write some JavaScript that's going to use Axios to send an HTTP post request back to our server for our Django code to handle. Dalton, yes, sir.
I'm actually really confused. Why is this being done in a for loop? Aren't you essentially going over the data each time when wouldn't you just want to access 0, 1, and 2 individually so you don't do it?
Oh,
So yeah, pretty much, because so all of the elements in the form are pretty much in the list, and we already have the name of the like the name of the field, and so within each iteration of that loop, it has access to the name of the field and the data. So why would we write first name when we can just access it because it
Yeah.
already exists there?
And you're also correct, Dalton, that if you wanted to, we could hard code this and like create an object, and it's like, you know, because we know the names of these fields. I think Zainab and I went to the for loop just because out of habit, because what if we had a form with 10 different input elements, for example? At that point, it just becomes a little onerous to like write it out line by line. So this way we can just use a for loop.
Well, I guess I mean like, so every single time this iteration runs, you're setting value to the new value. So I guess that's why I guess that's what confuses me, because you're
When
setting new customer name to value, but the third time you run the loop, the value should be set to the count type, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this is just a variable name for our use here.
Oh, I
Name, yeah,
didn't.
yeah. This is
Okay.
where we actually keep the information in the dictionary.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I thought something else was happening. That makes sense.
For sure. I feel you, especially with the switch from Python to JavaScript, it can get tricky.
Should we do async?
I guess we have to, don't we? Yeah. Or
We don't have.
no, we should use a promise. I think that's what we've been doing. So I think we can just do to like axios.post.
I think it's response equals, no, something like that.
I don't think that's it, but let me pull up the docs so I can actually have good information. Yeah, okay. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is axios.post.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of async await, which is a pattern that doesn't use promises.
Okay.
And I think most of the examples we've been doing have been promises. Is that correct, Raphael?
So I want to clarify a little bit. Most of our examples we've been using so far, we've been explicitly handling promises, been calling axios.post that returns a promise. We've been calling .ban or .catch off of it. Those are, you know, the classic promise methods. I just want to clarify that async await is still using promises, but it's like another layer on top of promises. So you still have to understand how the promises work underneath it, but we have not yet added that extra layer on top of promises, or I might have showed it to you once, but most of our demos have just used the simpler promise handling.
Yeah, that is a very good point about async await. And that is exactly why we're starting with promises for sure. Yeah, so let's do axios.post. And it's a method, all lowercase. I know it's crazy confusing. Yep. And inside here, the first argument is going to be a string. And that string is going to be the URL that we're sending our request to. So add customer. Yep. And was it a underscore or a slash in URLs?
Oh, I think it's a, oops. I don't know, it's not letting me. Okay.
Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, we don't need the forward slash at the end here, so we can just get rid of that, which again, I know is another point of confusion. Then we're gonna add a second argument. Yep, so a comma, and then now we can actually just pass in our new customer object, because the second argument is an object with the data. So that's awesome.
Perfect. And then we can do.
And we're going to do the .NET. Yeah, actually, and let me share just with the class the way I like to write this stuff. And so Zainab, if you could do me a favor, will you put the .post on its own line too? Like, yeah, and just indent that. Yeah, and can you bring the closing parentheses?
Oops,
Can you actually, yeah, please leave all the post stuff on one line.
on one line, yeah.
Yeah, I see where you're going. We could do that too. Whatever you prefer, actually, if you prefer
don't
that
know.
style, that's
No,
totally
this is better, because then the post and then the then is separate, yeah, this is good.
Yeah, I know this is a little wild to look at coming from Python world.
Mhm.
I find it a lot easier because it like visually shows me like kind of the flow of what's going on. And for the dot, then let's create an arrow function. So just 2 parentheses and the equal sign and the arrow. Yeah, and we need, yep, curly brackets, beautiful. And we're going to get a response back.
So I'll put it in here, right?
Yep. And we can do a normal function too, actually. I forget if we've looked at arrow functions that much or not. So whatever is going to make more sense.
We've covered them before.
Okay, cool. And let's just console log the response.
Okay.
And I think that's all we need for the moment. And that gives us enough to get some feedback and build the other part of this. And that'll be a good stopping point.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Now in the
Yeah, that
view,
looks great. Thank you.
the add customer is where we should be.
Yes. And why don't we just print the request? I think that's always a good starting point.
I probably should have updated the thing, yeah.
And we
Oops.
might need to do some JSON serialization.
Oh, did I not? Okay. I didn't actually add it to the custom. Nice.
What do we get here? Uncaught and promise. Oh, so we're not handling. Okay, so yeah, why don't we add a dot catch to our JavaScript code? Actually, this is a great moment to do that. And yeah, let's make it look the same as the dot then, actually.
Okay.
And what we'll do is we'll just add another console log indicating that this is an error, and then we can see what that error response looks like. And then we shouldn't see that error in the console.
And that happens. Okay, so we didn't get the error, which is good.
Cool, awesome. Yeah, so folks, that's the Axios is smart enough to decide, like, the way the promise works is that if the response comes back and there's an error, and what Axios looks at is the HTTP response code. And if the response code is one of the error response codes, then it will use the dot catch to handle the response back.
And that's because we're not returning something that it likes,
It is,
right?
I do not,
You have to do the JSON response, right?
Yeah.
we will, and it may also be like, I don't think we're even seeing our print statements
I think
that prints
maybe
out the
line
video.
2, Zainab.
What is it?
I think it might be just, well, JSON, yeah, but line 2, I think, is where you do JSON response to import it.
Mhm.
We may need to do that. I think we're
Line
running into a
2.
different issue first.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll probably need to do that. But
Mhm.
I want to keep us focused on the error messages.
Yeah.
I thought that was your error message because I
Well-
thought your JavaScript would not grab an HTTP response.
Yeah, so
So it's
The
just,
reason I know that we don't need to worry about that yet is because we're not seeing the print statement on line 35 in our view code. Which tells me
Oh,
that,
so Django isn't getting it.
well, we get the request, but then something is going wrong before line 35. And I have a suspicion, but we're not sure what yet. I think what it is we need to tell JSON to parse the request. Sorry, we need to tell Django to parse the request as JSON.
Through JSON.loads.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and there is this HTTP response. Yeah, can we try JSON.loads and see what happens there?
where, here?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Here.
Oh yeah, you're not returning any data there. I'm in
oh, that
trouble.
would be another issue. Yeah.
Oh,
there's,
yes.
there's a couple things. But there was a lot of stuff going on at once.
Oops. Is this fine? Just, no.
I don't think
You need
so.
to pass in a dictionary, I believe.
I think it needs to be a dictionary for JSON, or
Yeah.
does that?
That's my understanding.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
that should be fine. So for the request, I'm doing JSON uploads, right?
yes, I believe that's correct. Then let me double check that.
Okay.
Yeah, we might have to do request body, I want to say.
Request dot. It's not a function, right? It's just,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, that might not be it, but let's give it a shot and see what messages we see.
No errors, awesome. So let's see what it returned in the body. Here we go. This is what it returned.
Awesome. That looks
Yay.
great. Cool. Yeah, so let's assign that to a variable. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. Yeah, and Alicia, thank you. You're totally right. Like that's definitely what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna be sending some JSON back. And so now we wanna, I know it's like switching between the JavaScript and the Python.
Yeah.
Yeah. Capital C customer.
Mhm.
This is, we're gonna
So now
create a new
we-
class instance.
Yeah, so now we're gonna create a customer. So
Yep.
create.
I don't even know if we need to create. I think it's just open parentheses and then we pass in named arguments. Can someone confirm? Does that sound right?
photos.
Yeah, that should be right. It was just the other day when we were creating users, there was a special create user method that handled like the authentication and password hashing and whatnot. But for just instantiating regular model instances, it's just like regular OOP class instances.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. It's a lot. Yeah, first name, exactly. Equal sign and data. Let's see, it's a dictionary. So do we have to do like square bracket and then the key as a string?
I think so. I think this is how it should be.
Yeah. Awesome. Yep.
Oh wait, I'm not supposed to do that.
Yep. I see.
I
Yeah, I like
love-
that style as well. I see. Yeah, I see exactly what you're doing. I'm a fan.
What am I doing?
Close square bracket and a
this
comma.
one. Okay,
Yep, and just put a comma at the end of line 39.
thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, you got it. Exactly. Beautiful.
And it's just account type, right?
Yes, correct. And then we want to do once this is done, we'll do customer dot full clean, I think it is, to perform all the validations, of which we have none, but it's a good habit. Yep.
Just one little formatting note. Can you put that
Yeah.
in parenthesis on? Yeah, thank you. Makes me so happy. And could you unindent it one level?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where he wants to go.
Nice. Yep. And then customer.save. Yeah. And so what we haven't done here and what Dalton was asking about is we haven't sent back. We're not doing anything in our JavaScript when we receive the response to like update the list of customers in the browser. But I think that that's something that would have to be tackled in the afternoon after lunch.
I forgot if I wanted to check the request type, is it request dot type or
It is, or
Method is the property you're looking for.
thank you. Yeah.
method?
I don't know if we need that here, but we can do
Yeah.
that.
No, I just wanted to show an example. Is it capital post or lowercase?
I think it's capital.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to kind of show like if they're handling a post and a get in one method, then this is what you would want to do to only catch the post ones in here.
Totally. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I had a quick question about that point. I don't want to get into it too far, but just for my purposes, like, so I was really trying to ask if, like, I don't even necessarily care about like portraying the database on the front end. I was just curious from like almost on like a business standpoint, would it be bad practice though, instead of just kind of recalling the database and trying to put it back on your front end, could you just respond with your data that's already loading and then just load that into your HTML, even though it's technically not accurately portraying something that's actually in the database, but the data would be the same?
Right. Yeah. What you're saying is kind of like what Zainab's doing now on line 48. Like once
Yeah.
our backend code saves this customer, can we just send that new information back to the client, to the browser, and then have our JavaScript code in the browser handle that and manipulate the DOM to like show that new data as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really common pattern. That is done all the time, for
Okay.
sure. And it can be good because it does reduce like the number of requests you have to make to the database, which you were mentioning as well, which can be a good reason to do it for sure.
And maybe this might be a confusing question, but I mean, you'd have to send it like this from Django, right? Because from JavaScript, you can't just say like, hey, give me that new user that I just created, because JavaScript can't access your database, right?
Correct. The way, yes, we do it like this, or we do it like this, or we would do a page redirect, which we're not doing because we would probably just use a form if we were doing that. Or we would have Axios make another request to a different endpoint for like the list of all the users, which we don't want to do in this specific case. So this is like the way we would do it. And I think you're correct, Alicia, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know that if we do end up having enough time, that was something that I think people were wanting to see, was the different options that we can do with the .then, which, you know, that list that you just gave sounds like the options, but kind of seeing those in action. But I don't know if we'll get to that, but
yeah, we mean that's definitely something we could talk about doing this afternoon. Main thing is we just want to make sure folks have time to work on stuff as well. That but if folks want to see that, I don't want to speak for Zainab and Raphael, but we can definitely talk about that too, and doing that. I think we should wrap up and break for lunch so that people can do lunch.
We'll test out
Yeah, let's see this
the creation.
in action. I will say, if anyone, so we have done like, yeah, and this is where it gets tricky and where React is helpful, to be honest. What's our error here? Yeah, let's take a look at the server.
I think I might have messed up the
So this
response.
is what you guys ran into the other day, was you can't send the entire instance back, right?
Oh, yeah.
Last time you ended up breaking it out into each individual thing, but I don't know if you guys ever went back and found out how can you just send it like this?
I think if you just put your return statement in your if statement, it'll work better.
I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that we can't just pass an object into this JSON response class.
I think last time we used the model dot the
There was
dicts
a model
method.
we can do that as well.
Well, that was how we sent it to our template. I don't know if it works to JavaScript too, right?
Instead of here.
The basic problem is the same. We have an object that we want to convert into a dictionary.
I think,
Works.
I also think you could use data then, because that is already a dictionary, because you already use JSON loads.
That is true. And that's a good point. The reason we don't want to use data is to be on the safe side, to make sure that the information we're sending back to the browser is coming from the database. Because if something went wrong with saving to the database, potentially there could be a situation where we then send back that data dictionary, and that's the customer that we wanted to create, but it didn't actually get created in the database. Also, we want to do that because honestly, we probably need to send back the customer ID of the new customer, and that's a primary key value that they gets created when saved to the database. So we don't have access to that until we actually save the customer, because it doesn't exist yet. That's actually the most important part, because the customer ID is kind of the thing that matters the most.
I want to add that in addition to the customer ID, there might be other data that the database adds to the new record that's created. So, there might just be default values for fields. And so when you submit a request to create a new customer, you just leave them blank, and then the database fills that in with the defaults. But when you get the object back, you would want to actually have that data filled in.
Yeah, that's a good point for sure. Zainab and Raphael and everyone, I'm really sorry. I'm supposed to meet with someone for something work related but unrelated to our class at 12:30. So I have to pop out. But
I
Zainab,
think this is a fine time to break for lunch.
okay, yeah, because we can totally do that. We can totally do that too. Lunch is also good. Zainab, do you want a couple minutes to wrap up with folks, or should we just call it?
You're muted, Zainab.
Thank you. Yeah, you guys can we can break for lunch. I'm gonna keep playing around with this a little bit. So I'll keep the recording running, but I won't be really saying anything. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, this was awesome.
Awesome. When should we come back? 1:32.
There's good, I think. Maybe 2.
2 is good. Yeah. Awesome. I know no one's listening, but this is for the recording. I found out that the error was because of the validation. Account type has to be 2 characters. So this is our response data that's being printed out. And we see here that it's returning the information for the customer, which is what we want. And the customers are also being added. Which it's not reflecting on this page until we update. Which is something we can work on. Okay, so before the break, I played around with this a little bit. I was able to use this function. So I imported it here from forms models, and you just pass in whatever model you want to send in, or whatever model you want to turn into a dictionary, and it just spits back a JSON. So, oh, I had my server still running. That's fine. Okay, so now what this does is, I'm gonna kind of go over the flow again. So we have our form, right? We put our inputs, and then when we click the button on submit, it goes to add customer with the event. The event holds just the form information pretty much. So it also includes your input values and all that. So this function gets called. We do prevent default just so it doesn't do anything that we don't want it to do. We then parse the values that we need. So we're getting event.target at whatever index the form is, or the input element is in, and then we get the name, we get the value, and again, the name was this name that we set. So now, yeah, we created a dictionary called new customer, and we set all of those values to those keys. And then this is where we use Axios. So we do axios.post because we wanted to set a new customer. So .post, add customer, and we send in the dictionary of customer. So this then goes to this function here, because add customer here routes to add customer. So in this view, in this method, we're seeing if the method, if the request method is post, that means we're adding a new customer. So we grab the data that's coming in the request body. And this is now in the form of a dictionary. And so we create a new customer, which is in this format. So it's just like instantiating a new object. So yeah, and then we do full clean, we do save, and then we are returning the new customer that we created. Any questions so far? No. Okay, so
Actually, I have a question.
yeah.
Can you guys hear me better? Or am I
Yep.
still quiet? Okay.
Yeah,
Can
it's
you go
better.
back to your JavaScript?
Mhm.
So on your Axios, what's the dot catch do again? Because
So
like
dot
no,
catch-
so yes, like I know post will send some information to the backend, the server, and then the dot then is handling the response that the server sends back to the front end, correct?
Yeah. So the response is literally just whatever you send back in your return.
Hmm. So then
Yeah.
if you have the dot then that handles that response, what does the dot catch do?
The dot catch catches any errors. So if you have any exceptions or errors or whatever, this catches them all. That's why before when we had that one error and we put this catch, then we were able to just print it regularly versus having an actual error. So if let's comment this out and try to make an error. Okay. So this error is in, I think it gets printed from Django, if I'm not incorrect. I don't know. I don't know where this one is, but actually, sorry. It does print this out. Hold on. So we saw that it did that. We have this. Bad response.
So from the error that I saw in your server, it looks like the reason there's an error is because you're trying to put more than 2 characters for your
Yeah, it
account
is.
type.
Exactly.
So since that triggers an error on the server, is that the error that gets sent to the dot catch?
Yeah, so I'm trying to trigger like a normal error. So this is the part that gets printed with the dot catch. So I think I didn't refresh last time, but hopefully this will work. Yeah, there we go. So uncaught. So this is in the promise, there's an error pretty much. And
Okay, and
our
that's
dot
getting printed because of the dot catch.
exactly. So our dot
Okay.
catch, we can literally just say, instead of console log, like instead of just sending the error, we can just say, something went wrong. And that should. There we go.
Okay, I gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So, I know you guys have been playing with the, what is it called? Like adding, deleting, all of that stuff. How, what kind of ways did you guys like refresh the data on the page?
I actually did it just like you're doing it. Well, I guess not necessarily, but so in my dot then I would just grab an element by, like I was showing someone the other day and I just did like a random, it was like a ID equals test. And then I would just grab the element by the ID test. And then whatever variable I was getting back in my response, I would set it to that. But I did kind of get confused today if maybe I was doing it wrong, because Adam said you don't want to, like how you're doing data, and I said you could send it back, you don't want to do it. That's kind of how I was doing it. So I don't necessarily know if maybe it's not good to do it that way, but it seemed like it was the only way I could get the body back in
Mhm.
order to manipulate the HTML element.
Okay. Francisco, yeah.
Yeah, so on the JS, instead of console.logging after the then, what I ended up doing was window.location.href, and then I put the name of wherever it is that I wanted to redirect, whether it was the same page or a different one.
Mhm. Okay. I mean, both of those would work. I don't know if this is the correct way of doing it, but I don't know. I guess it's because we're using Django. I would just return what is it called? A redirect to the page. And because the page already handles the list, like grabbing the list of customers, it would automatically update. But I'm not sure if that's the correct way of doing it. Oh, hi, Adam.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, we're kind of just getting the refresh thing. So we're kind of discussing what's the best way to do that. And a few people had some different ways of doing that.
To get the updated list.
Yeah, to refresh the page or just update. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And it's a little funny because we're like sort of in this middle zone where like, yeah, like I think the way that we kind of wanted to demonstrate with Axios, and that ties into what we'll be doing with React, is where when we create a new customer and get that data back in the HTTP response as JSON, we're then in, yeah, exactly, in the then part of the callback, or sorry, the then part of the promise, where we modify the DOM there. That's sort of like the goal being to create a good user experience where the page isn't refreshed. The other approach would be, as you were just saying, to force a page refresh, which will bring back new data, or to redirect to a different page if we had this data on a different page. We don't really need to use, Axios for doing both of those things. Like both of those work quite well using a form in sort of the traditional way, just as like an HTML form with a post request. So to kind of really demonstrate the example, it would be adding something on here and using our JavaScript. And React makes this easier, and that's what we're going to see. But to do it now, probably the easiest way to do it, and it's still a little bit of work, which is why like React was invented. And before I kind of dive into talking about the implementation, I just want to check in and see if, because I was kind of thinking out loud a bit there, does that make sense to folks, like the three approaches, like using JavaScript to modify the DOM, forcing a page refresh, or doing a redirect? And then the advantage of using JavaScript to modify the DOM is a better user experience because there is no page refresh or redirect. Does that make sense to folks? Dalton, yes, sir.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. That's why I raised my hand. But I was just curious if Zainab could show the code because I didn't necessarily see the implementation of it.
So we didn't implement it yet. I was just trying out some of the suggestions that you guys gave. So I'm sorry, I forgot who said this, but
Yep.
the window.location.href. So pretty much
Oh,
rerouting.
so
but
it's just adding it because it's adding it to a database, and every time you refresh the page, it grabs it again. Is that what's
Yeah,
going on?
Yeah, pretty much. This just refreshes the page. in a
Okay,
way.
that's an interesting way of doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you can, I didn't have any.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just gonna say totally. That would be like a good way to implement the approach of forcing a page refresh. Which is a totally valid approach. Like all of these get used all the time, and it depends a lot on the situation. Like if we had a different kind of list where it wasn't just us updating customers, maybe we need to force a page refresh because maybe someone else has added customer information to the database that we now want to see. For our purposes, both to demonstrate kind of what we're doing with React and kind of like once we start going down the Axios road, we want that better user experience where there is no page refresh. I think the way to do it is if we go to the dot then of the promise and look at that callback there, essentially what we want to do is we want to create a new DOM element. We want to create a list element and just add it to the end of the existing list. And Zainab, if you're down, I need to Google for a moment, but we can do that right now.
Yeah, so I added an ID to
Oh, awesome.
the unstructured list, or
Yeah,
what the U stands for.
Yeah. That is a great call. Yeah, so in fact, that's probably the first thing is to get that element by ID.
So it's document dot get element by ID.
Yep.
And I just called it list.
Yep. And then what we want to do is like once we get that element, we need to add something to it. So there's two parts. I think let's create the new element first. Honestly, just because that's what I found first in my Googling.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Cool. And I'll share that with folks here in the chat. And if anyone has done this, feel free to share their code in the chat.
Oops.
Too. But essentially it's surprisingly easy. It's going to be document.create element.
Sorry. Oh,
No worries.
there we go. Create elements.
Yep. And then as a string, li, which is the name of the kind of element that we're going to make. And that's actually it, I believe.
That's
and
all.
we do need to assign this to a variable. So we should do let's call it maybe like, yeah, whatever you want to call it, new customer or list element. Perfect. Yeah. So that's step one. Step two is I believe the method is like edit inner HTML. And let me make sure I didn't miss a way of doing this easier, because you might have been right, Zainab, like if there's a way where we can pass another argument to the.
Yeah, while you do that, I'm just gonna kind of reiterate what we're doing. I think people got a little,
Yeah, for sure.
basically, we are grabbing this element and we want to append the new customer that was added. We want to append a list item that is formatted like this, but with the new information. And we have access to that new information because it was sent back. It was sent back to us through the response here.
And if we want, we can even console log like some of those elements as we grab and create them.
Sure. Francisco, yeah.
So did everything already get handled as far as adding the new customer to the database?
Yeah, that was handled before lunch. So
Okay, so just a real quick question is,
Mhm.
if it's already inside the database and we already have the for loop, why would we do the appending a child instead of refreshing the page, since the for loop would automatically bring up the new customer?
so there is two ways of doing it pretty much. We are able to just append, we're trying it in both ways, because earlier I showed how you can do it by refreshing the page, which was let me find that. I think it was window dot something right here. I hate this. Hold on. Okay. So window dot location dot href, and without putting anything in here, just refresh my page. So I wouldn't have to do any of this stuff, and it would have refreshed the page. But we're showing a different way of doing that, and we don't have to worry about either of these when we do React next week, which is a huge, yeah, I can't wait for React. React is great. It saves you a lot of headaches. But did that kind of answer your question, Francisco?
I'm seeing on the group chat that people are saying that it's for user experience. And then I think Raphael was saying to think about Google Maps for Gmail. I don't exactly get that reference. I don't know if Raphael is here or not.
I can, oh, is that me? I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's Adam, but he has the different
Let
name.
me fix that. Sorry. Yeah, what I meant was, so with Google Maps, every time you move that map around, it's making a ton of AJAX requests using Axios or something very similar. And it gets data back about stuff on the map, and then it's dynamically changing what you see on the map. And that would be impossible to do if we had to refresh the page to force, the DOM to update.
Mhm.
Does that example make sense?
Same with oh, sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's just basically trying to avoid refreshing the page because it would slow it down to some extent.
Right. Like it's tricky because for the kind of stuff we're building now, it doesn't have a huge impact on user experience. But then if you start building a really sophisticated UI, like Gmail or Google Maps or Zainab, it looks like you're about to pull something up, then it has a big impact.
Yeah.
The other thing is
So even just this, because each time you enter a new character or delete a character, that's a new request that's going in. So if you refresh to the page, this is going to go away, and you don't want to do that.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
For sure. The other piece of the puzzle actually that we haven't talked about is basically there are a lot of studies on like how people browse the internet that show that, if page load time decreases by like a couple seconds, you lose a ton of users. And if you're Nordstrom's or Amazon or, the Home Depot's website, poor website performance has a direct translation into lost sales. So that's why there's this big push on like no page refreshes and user experience and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's actually an important piece of context, because otherwise it is a little bit like, why does it matter so much?
Yeah. So the way React would do it would be, you have your elements. I'm not going to get into the specifics, but you have your element and your page constantly refreshes if new data was added or deleted. So if there's data that's attached to that element, so like here, if our customers list changed, that would automatically update this because of how the components render. But that's a conversation for next week. So, okay, let's continue this so we don't.
Yeah, totally. So I think the next step is we've created our new list element.
Mhm.
Now let's change the text. And we can just do li for our new list element on line 22. Or there, it doesn't matter. Dot inner HTML, which might all be capitalized.
Oh, it's right here. Yeah, it auto.
Perfect. Yep. And so now we want to build something that's going to look like, yeah, it's not Python. This is where it gets a little weird. But to do a template string, it's forward backtick. It's a backtick.
In here?
Instead of quotes.
Oh.
Sorry, let me put it in the chat because it's so hard to describe. Not like a
Hey, Zainab.
backslash, but
Yeah.
Inner HTML doesn't have, it's not a function. It's just like inner HTML equals.
oh, thank you. I totally forgot about that. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. And so, is it that? No.
Yep, that
Okay.
is correct. And we can type text in here like a normal string. And when we want a variable, we do $ curly bracket and then close curly bracket for
Okay.
close the variable.
I'm gonna copy the string from here.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Same.
Dalton, I think this will work, but I could be wrong. Let's see. And what you were saying with inner text might work as well, to be honest.
Okay, so the way we access it is through the response. So actually, responses, when you send a response back, it is better to have it kind of structured like this. So you have your, I guess it's pathetic. Let's call it response. So you would have your data, which is whatever data you're sending back. And then you can have your like, is it status or
Oh, the HTTP like response code.
yeah, or like if it worked or not. Maybe you want to have like a success because
Yeah.
we wanted to add something. I guess if we we wouldn't have data, but
Yeah.
so
No, that's a common pattern. We'll either do that. We might just depend on the HTTP response code. It just depends how you implement it.
yeah. But yeah, so this way you can check before doing anything. If success equals true, then you would grab your data and then you would update your list because you don't want to do it if nothing was returned or something weird was happening. But I think this is just like a specific nuance. I don't know if a lot of people do that, but
Yeah.
I think it's good practice.
Yeah, for sure. It totally depends on. I think I've tended to write stuff where our backend would use the HTTP response code for that, but we would be writing that same kind of logic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I should be able to do a dot, right?
Yes, response.data. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it. Exactly.
And then so here we would say data. I guess we could call this customer.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, and I would say we should just console log customer, and then when we look in our browser, we can confirm that if we can see what's going on, and if we have an error, we'll have a little insight.
Okay. So was it for sure the inner HTML or is it inner text?
I think inner HTML is going to work. I'm
Okay.
not like 100%, but I'm like 80%. We're at 80%.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So,
So
oh, this was just from a previous thing. So this is our customer.
oh, that's the, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Okay, then I believe I found the code we need to add this list element to the list. I
Okay.
think what we want to do
Oh, did it
is,
work? No.
sorry?
No, I was trying to see if it worked. No. Okay. Sorry, you can continue.
Cool. No worries at all. I know there's so much going on. I think we can do append child as a method name. Yeah. And let's try passing li, and let's see if that works. There might be a few things we need to do,
Oh, before this or?
or there might, if it doesn't work, there might be a couple other steps we have to do, is what I meant.
Okay. Yeah, it sends undefined. So I'm pretty sure it's something with how I'm accessing these.
Right. That makes sense. What if we console log li below line 27? Can we
Okay.
do that just to see what it is?
Below this one. So.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, I should refresh.
Customer undefined.
Mhm.
Okay,
So it's just
So-
how we're accessing this.
got it. Okay, and that's what you were saying. I misunderstood.
Mhm.
Okay, that's great.
I mean,
That's an
I could be wrong, but since you added it as data, would it have to be data or no? I get confused by that a little bit.
So let me delete this. Hold on.
I was wondering about that
Yeah, where's the second console
as
log?
well.
There isn't another one.
Line 15 is the first console log.
15. Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yeah, so I think Alicia, I think
You-
you're correct that
you
it's
are
data.data. Yeah, and that's just sort of the format. Let's give that a shot and see if that works. And then Francisco, I saw you had a question. I think some other folks did too. We're excitingly close though. This is awesome. There we go.
Yay.
Yeah.
Now,
If
if
you
you
wanna add-
refreshed, would it add them on there again though?
No.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You want to add in, let's add in like a human name, and then that it'll just be super clear when we can see our nice new
Oh,
customer.
yes. Yes, of course.
So, sorry, that's just me getting excited now that we have this working.
I'll just add. What was the?
Awesome. I don't remember
Weird.
the account types.
Awesome.
Nice. Cool.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dalton, you are when we refresh the page, the database, our backend code, runs the Django template and queries the database. And because that new user is in the database, that's why it shows up in the list. You're absolutely correct that all the DOM manipulation we've done gets wiped out.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, I know. Francisco, I think you had a question.
I didn't have a question. I was gonna make a suggestion about putting the element that we were calling in square brackets rather than period, but Alicia fixed it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's yeah, there's almost always when you're sending JSON back and forth, sometimes like there's just a lot of nesting that ends up happening. Yeah, what other questions did folks have? I think someone else might have had their hand up and we might have missed it.
Sorry. I keep moving back and forth.
No, no worries. It's probably good for us to walk through this code again anyway.
Yeah. So should I kind of just explain what it was doing?
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
awesome.
All right. So on our customers page, we have a list of existing customers and then our form to add a new customer. It takes in first name, last name, account type as inputs, and then does a submit. So on the submit, we call this JavaScript function. And so this function parses the inputs. So it goes through all the inputs, it grabs our information, creates a dictionary out of them, which is our customer information. Then it does the Axios call. So anyways. So the first part of our Axios call is the post. And in here, we put our URL and our data that we're sending in. In this case, it's the new customer. And this gets mapped to whatever view it's called in. And so add customer gets called here. We check if the method is post, then we grab the body data, which we have to do it loading through JSON, because it doesn't work any other way.
Yeah.
And then we create
So-
the custom. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, we need to tell Django the format of the text in that request body.
Yeah.
So we can turn it from text into a dictionary.
Yeah, because I think it sends it in a binary format.
I think you're
And this
right.
is able to fix that. Then we create our customer. We do a full clean for the validation, which we didn't add much, but if you noticed, we did the full clean. So if I try to add a customer with an account type that has more than 2 characters, the full clean is what catches it, because it does a validation that the character length is what we are expecting it to do. I'm pretty sure the save will do that too, but it caught it on the full clean first. And then we built our response. I think I take it back now. I guess like you might not need to do all this nesting, so you can just send in the data as it is.
It's fine. That's a common pattern that
Yeah.
you'll see a lot, because it's kind of nice to have stuff contained. So
Mhm.
it's good to do. It's good to show.
Okay. And so we do a JSON response with our new data. So this response goes to the .then of the Axios call. We're catching it through the response because it's a function. So another way to do this is also just saying, I think, function response.
Yep,
So
exactly.
this is just another format of doing it. Both of them are valid, both of them work. And so we grab our customer data that we had sent in, we grab the existing list that is on our page over here, the unstructured list, with the ID list, and then we create a new element, a new list element, and then we give it, we add this string into it with inner HTML, and then we append the list element onto the list, and that's how we're able to see it on the front end. If we had any errors, this would catch it, but since we didn't, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I don't know, I mean, this was mentioned before, but pretty much you always have like a front end and a back end talking together. So your front end are your HTML and JavaScript, and that's why you need Axios. So they talk to each other through Axios. So when we start going to React and we move all the front end to React, we're not gonna really put anything in these ones, in like this JavaScript file or this HTML file. I think there's one template, and then you load stuff there. I'm actually not sure how they're connected yet, but they talk to each other through Axios. Your React front end will send requests, and it will get caught by your URLs, and then it will go to the views and do whatever it needs to do on the server side, and then send the data back. So typically when you're doing data like development, wherever you are, what I've seen is that you have a separate front end and back end, and that's how they talk. You don't have them all in one project. You have to use Axios or some form of Axios, like requesting model to talk back and forth between your server and your front end. I think someone had their hand open. Hand up.
I
Yeah,
have my hand up. I just had a quick question, just looking at this.
Mhm.
I know that like in a real product, or like if you're working at a company as a software engineer, it would be far more intricate than this. But just curious, how does that look if you only do front end or only do back end, but all of these parts are constantly talking to each other?
Well, what do you mean? You can't do only front end or back end? What do you mean? Sorry.
So like they have positions where you're a front end software
Mhm.
developer or a back end software developer. How does that work? Like if I only do front end, how does that work with this where they're constantly talking to each other?
So I would have to, so as a front end developer, I would have to know what are the URL, like the endpoints that I can go to. So remember with the API requests, so these are APIs pretty much. Whatever you hit with, I that could be wrong, but it's an interface that you, where is it? So yeah, with your Axios calls, you can hit APIs. So you just choose where you want to get your data from using your URL, and you receive data. So that's pretty much how any developer does it, like front end wise. You don't really need to know what's happening on the back end at all. You just need to know what is your URL where I can get my stuff that I need. That's pretty much it. And same with the backend. If you're a backend developer, you don't care how they use it. You just know that you have your data. They need, maybe you know that your front-end developers need to be able to display a list of customers. So your only job is to have an endpoint that someone can go to. And that endpoint should result with a response that holds your customer data. Yeah.
Interesting.
and just to add on to what you're saying, Zainab, and talk about some of like how the different teams communicate. Like if I'm a front end developer, there's a good chance, I'll also have access to the full code base, including the back end code base. So when I'm writing my front end code, exactly like you're saying, Zainab, I have to look and see how the back end code was written in order to have my front end like conform to that. Oh, how can people hear me now, or is it really hard?
I can hear you. I don't
Okay.
know.
Thank you, Zainab. I was seeing a volume question. Yeah. And vice versa with the back end. And then the teams just also have to talk and communicate. And so like the back end team usually will like write documentation for their API, and then the front end team can refer to that documentation and use it. And then there are a lot of like patterns and conventions, and you try to make stuff consistent within the code base so that it's as simple as as possible.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Did that help, Maya, with your question? Cool, awesome. Yeah, that's a good question for sure. And truth be told, in all my roles doing front end work, I've always had to do stuff on the back end as well. If nothing else, you certainly have to understand it. I think maybe at very large companies, it could be different because the teams and the code bases are big enough where like you maybe depend on a third party or you depend on internal documentation for stuff. But I think it's hard to be a good front end developer without being like comfortable doing back end work as well. On the back end, in some ways, it can be a little easier. Like if you're deep enough in the back end, like writing code that interacts mainly with the database on like a big system, then you may never have to really worry about where it touches like the front end for the web browser at all. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Awesome.
Yeah, Zainab, this is awesome. I'm stoked that we got it. We got the HTML.
Yeah.
We're modifying the DOM. It's like the whole nine.
Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions, or should we stop the recording? All right.